what separates starts within organization from different organizations or different people who are out there trying to reduce the recidivism rate is that we are ran by a person who has been in that situation himself and has survived and has succeeded and excelled outside of the penitentiary gates, and that's something that separates us. We have some of the curriculum and things like that, so we offer some of the same curriculum as other organizations offer, but we do differ a bit, and the way that we differ is that we go over 5 different areas. We study parenting. We do 8 weeks of parenting. We do financial literacy for 8 weeks. We do cognitive behavior therapy for 8 weeks, and we do small business and entrepreneurship for 8 weeks, and then we do employment readiness for 16 weeks. But the difference between that is the people who facilitate these classes are professionals. That means that they are people who have master's degrees. So we have the teacher, the professor for the employment readiness, he has a master's degree in his things and things like that. So that's something that's heavy. We utilize him, but he can relate to the guys as well. So it's just being able to figure out the right type of fit for the guys so then they can get the right information and they can have a paradigm shift. That's what we are about. We are about a paradigm shift, and the way that you have a paradigm shift is by simply having information that these guys can utilize and they can see the direction. But you can't just tell them anything. A lot of guys think that, you know, just because the guys in the penitentiary that they can't think, but you got to believe that myself, I came from the street, so I was faced with a whole bunch of different type of personalities. I seen people at their worst, and they was trying to. I was a 13-year-old, and I was dealing with grown men selling drugs to them, and that was when they are at their worst, and they was coming with all kind of different schemes and scams to try to get me because I was a 13-year-old fresh into the game, and they was grown, you know, and they was grown people with habits. So just imagine the how I had to grow up quick. I had to be able to spot, you know, who's running game and things like this. That doesn't leave, and that's something that is embedded in me, and I'm able to utilize that inside of corporate America or wherever. I'm able to utilize those same skills, what we call as transferable skills, and I transfer those skills into the legitimate life that I'm living right now. But that's what I tell guys, is that they think that, you know, just because these guys is in the penitentiary that they'll believe anything that you tell them. They don't. They be able to see that you are faking the funk, and they'll read right through it, and they'll position themselves to capitalize off you and continue to do what they're doing. You say, how do they position themselves to capitalize off me? Easy. They'll look at you and they'll say, man, you know what, you're bringing all of these things and you're bringing all of these resources. You want me to look like this, and I'll look like that. How you want me to look to get those resources? Once I get those resources, I'm going to take that and continue to do the same things that I was doing before, because my mind hasn't changed. You haven't brought me no type of direction to really change my mind. Only thing that you brought me was gifts and resources that I can utilize to keep on doing what I was doing. So that's something that I tell people that I work with who don't understand the population, and that's one of the main things. That's what separates starts within organization, is that we are people who understands the population. And how do we understand the population? Because all of my facilitators, they sit down with me and I explain them what the population is about and who the population is. And how do I explain that to them? Because I let them know me, and I let them know me, and by them knowing me, then they get a glimpse into seeing how the population is and how the population works. But it's two folds to that. So then they get a chance to see, you know, hey, what the population can become. So then that gives them the motivation to say, you know what, this is some work that's worth doing, because if the population becomes like Carlos, like the president, then you know what, hey, our communities is going to be way better. Because right now I got my children and I got my household, and I'm managing my household. So, you know, if we can get, you know, other people who in the penitentiary doing the same thing, when we get other people in the penitentiary to do the same thing, then that's when the communities are changed. Because right now, my children ain't picking up no guns. They're not picking up no drugs and dope and selling dope and things like that. Because why? Because I'm here. I'm the one that's going to pop up on them at any given time. I'll say, you know what, you going over to your friend's Aaron's house? Okay, cool. And I'll pop up on you. That's what I do. So I just do things to just make sure that they know that I'm there. So you can say what you say, I'm gonna be there, and I ain't gonna tell you when I'm coming. I'm gonna pop up. So I mean, these is type of things that help deter them from getting involved into the streets, and also coming through with proper discipline. Discipline versus punishment. I'm into discipline. Discipline means to teach. Punishment means to harm and hurt. So then that's what I'm into is discipline. Everything that I do is to teach them so I can make sure that they are prepared to be successful adults. And when I give them to the world, then the world is going to say, you know what, I'm pleased by the men that you have brought to me as the world. So that's my mission, and I say if we can get other people to do some of the same things, then that's when we are moving along and the communities are changed, and you will no longer see bodies dropping in the streets and mothers crying and burying their children and mothers crying and saying, you know what, we got to go ahead and see our child do life without parole and things like that. I mean, you know, we are making a difference. Starts within organization. Before change can be seen externally, change must be done internally.